It's a silent stream. Oh. Good morning. Again, good morning. Hey, Drew, Ben. Time to gather around the wizard. Hang out in the dragon cave. See if things are back to normal. Still doesn't seem to be real comfortable. A lot better than he was that other live stream that he ran around for 2 days. Oh, we? Oh my goodness, there's more of you? That's cool. It's a Dono Tuesday, I'm not sure. Might have been a waste of time. He's doing a little eye diversion, but glad they let you watch it at work, Drew. Are you putting the bike away for the winter, Ben? When there's kids, there's busy. I hear you. Like I said, I don't know that we'll have a feeding frenzy or not. Oh, he turned his back to me. You can just hang out, and if I think of something to say, I'll say it. He'll know I ride you around. I played frisbee golf year round, and you know how many 175 gram frisbees I went through in the winter? We carried the pizza warmer bags to keep our frisbees warm, and they still, I mean, if you hit a tree full speed, that thing was in 8 pieces, just crash. But man, skipping it across the snow and the ice ponds, oh man, it was fun. I gotta learn to turn my head towards the camera instead of the TV. I keep thinking I'm talking into the microphone on the TV, and I found out that my dumbass was wrong, and that it's actually, there's a microphone in the webcam. Not to mention how hard it is to find a frisbee in Michigan in the middle of winter. I tried disc for a couple of years, man. That rips your wrist to hell. Here, and I thought you were hungry. Probably just gonna sit there all morning. That's my fault. I ruined his schedule. I rode year round when I was younger, but I put the bikes away and get the snowmobiles out. I should move it around so they get a better shot of you. If you're just going to sit there and be obnoxious. It'd be easier for me to talk into the microphone. We had a three-wheeled, we called it a mud buggy. Had big, uh, barely inflated tires. It was like a plastic formed seat, basically a motorcycle, but it really wasn't because it was just like I think it was a 10-horse engine in the back of it, and we installed a the wheel on the back of the motor from a tricycle because when you take off, the front tire would pop up in the air and you could ride on three wheels, but it wasn't this driving wheel. It was just a tricycle wheel on the back of the motor and the two wheels. So as long as you were going straight down the road, you were fine, but you had to slow down and let the front tire get down to turn. Well, that thing was fun because the kids could ride it. Even if they ran each other over, it didn't hurt because the tires were so soft. And then we had the six-wheeler. That thing was another plastic formed thing. I think that one was actually fiberglass. It had six wheels. It drove like a tank with two levers. It'd go in the water. About 9 people could fit in it pretty easily. That thing never went over about 20 mile an hour though. And our mini bike was a little Tecumseh 5-horse with a torque converter, so that never went over 35. Seward, I didn't even have to read the name. All I had to read was the. Oh, I used to know what those were called. Salutation was. I knew it was you. Morning, Seward. I think it was called an amphicat, if I remember right. Some Arctic cat put out. Then we had the two. My uncle had the two Chaparral snowmobiles that each came with a cool little snowmobile cart that rode behind it on. It was like a sled that you could put like 4 kids in. And we would take. Dad had a ski whiz that was the seat was like 3 feet long and the gas tank was behind that, so you could ride. Dad could drive it with 2 kids behind that, and then we'd have the two chaparrals, a couple ski-doos. There would be about 8 of us snowmobiles and maybe 20 people that would just take off, and there was about a 50-mile trail up there south of Traverse City. You could go from Crystal Mountain to Cadillac without having to cross the highway more than twice. And I really miss those times when you'd stop the snowmobiles in the woods with the snow on and get a little fire going, and that's when the adults let us kids have a little sip of brandy to get warm. Lady D, welcome in. It's a Dono Tuesday. Reptar's been going crazy since I cleaned his cage, and not sure if he'll eat breakfast or not. But I haven't tried in the last few days, so I thought I'd get some talking in. Been kind of depressed. My body's failing more and more every day. Like Seward said, it's really humbling to have anybody come in at all. The funny thing is you end up with some taglines on here when you come in. Like Seward, his tagline obviously, oh hell, let's just all pray for everybody. Although Seward, I don't know, and I'm not one to give much advice, but I have a younger brother myself, and it ain't which line you came in. You're all family. You're all brothers. I know you feel like you got to take care of him, but I've tried to learn humility since I can't fight it anymore. Well, I'm not really afraid of them, Seward. Uh, like you say, they're not going to take me alive. But I'm afeared when I lose my dignity. That's going to kill me. I'm sure everybody's got a few stories or a story that life or death was like a split second away. It's what you do with it afterwards if you're still alive. I always was the person that helped people move. I moved 5 times without anybody ever helping me. Now I couldn't move from one room to the next. The path tightens as you get older instead of broadens. I always thought I'd be able to do more and more and more. I knew this shit would happen. That's interesting. I hear you, Seward. My father passed in January, and here in Michigan, you got to wait till the ground thaws. But we had him cremated, and then divided his ashes into 3 parts. The first part went into the grave. The second part, they gave us a biodegradable bag, and we put that in the Betsy River. When that floats down the Betsy out into Lake Michigan. The third part went onto the family property underneath a freshly planted plum tree. Not in a locket either. You know, the easy route to say is the body don't mean much. It's what you did and what you remembered for and not remembered for that lives on. The natural order is that you're passed down through your children. So what's left afterwards, you didn't really have much to give. Mason jar where everybody can see you. Oh, Sewer Dog, have I ever introduced you to Lady D? Probably neither. Have I ever introduced you to my unicorn? I told you I didn't feel good. I have a really special imaginary friend. She's a unicorn, and she has one special talent. See? Yeah. The light's hard to get a good shot right there. Or there. But her specialty, my granddaughter gave me this, is that she poops M&Ms. Now, if that isn't the coolest unicorn ever, anything that can produce chocolate, it's rainbows. Like that, Seward? She left it here for a couple weeks and came back and tried to take it. I said, oh no, oh sorry. She's part of the live stream now. But she looked at me and says, does she poop M&Ms on live? I said, yep. She said, okay, you can keep her. Just something to get a chuckle out of during the day. Reptar is definitely not interested. And yes, the M&Ms do not go to waste, folks. Just, I'm going to blame actually Bouncer Slab on this whole thing. If you ever went to his website, he's got them freaking little trolls that scare the crap out of me. There was a horror movie on television when I was about 9 years old that involved a little orange-haired troll that was in a house with a big-ass butcher knife and killed people. That was it. Yeah. Yeah, Belushi's back in the day when you could actually, make comedy funny. He certainly couldn't do his sushi chef impression. Wow. Nowadays on TV, he's factually funny. He had a short period where he really went after the sub builders channels, but yeah, he uses the political humor with the characters, and man, his fishing. Oh, I'm so jealous of what he can do. He puts up his smoking videos. I'm like, man, I used to be able to do that. Dang it. And I blow bubbles, so his blowing bubbles for a quarter thing always makes me laugh. Actually, it started with my mom. She's 87 and still blows bubbles. Robinson's Neighborhood. You couldn't put that on TV. You couldn't even put that on Netflix. All right, sir. Well, damn. Thanks for coming in and bless you. And we'll be wishing good thoughts for Swamp Fox and all the others. That's a rough deal. You're going to force me to go live a second time when you eat just to prove you're not a rubber lizard, aren't you? If you are, I went out in the kitchen just for your lettuce. Yeah, just for you, and you ignore it. Using wire, using a pop bottle as a rod. This is how they fish in Puerto Rico. When I was young, I stayed at my great aunt and uncle's house, and I went down and cut a stick off the tree, took some kite string, stole the safety pin from my brother's diaper, moved the boat off the shoreline and grabbed the snails out from underneath it, and I could catch a 5-pound bass. It ain't having a great deal of tackle, and my favorite cartoon back in the day was the guy with the huge tackle box that opens it up and pulls out the can of worms. All right, Ben. We fished for food. It was serious fishing. Yeah, that was a great cartoon. We put food in the freezer. We didn't eat, so we went for fishing where you caught quantity of fish. My dad never took me bass fishing. Never took me any kind of sport fishing. But at 6 years old, I was standing out on Lake Michigan on the ice, freezing my ass off, catching perch and pike. And those are times I will never think harshly of and enjoy the hell out of, even though I felt like I had frostbite the whole time. Or carrying the boat in the middle of the night through the swamp, knee deep in mud, just to catch a half a boatload, bottom of the boatload full of bullheads. Come home, you got 50 mosquito bites all over you. You got 80 cuts from the twigs and leaves. And all you can think of is how much fun you had. You go out in a 17-foot wooden boat out in Lake Michigan, and your one eye is always on the horizon. The minute you see a dark line on the horizon, you turn that baby around as fast as you can back for shore. Yeah, towards the when I was just turning an adult, Lake Michigan was, oh, don't eat too many fish, you get PCB in it. Well, what does PCB do? Well, we don't really know that it does anything, but don't eat the fish. It's like, but yeah, I know they put things in the poison lakes where you can't eat the fish anymore. Or they introduce it, and nature's nature. They introduced a German brown. It killed all the regular Michigan brown off because it was more prolific and more aggressive. Well, then it's the new species. You just learn to fish for it. Did you ever do any ice fishing, Lady D? We built shanties from the time I was a little kid with those big, huge, what they look like coat hangers reels on the ceiling with a cord hooked to them, and it'd have three hooks and a weight on the bottom, and you put minnows or wigglers and drop it through the ice, and you had to have a rubber band on the line because when you pull the cord, it was on the wooden dowel part. And the big, huge wire where your line was wrapped around made you pulled like 1 inch of the cord, you pulled 3 feet of the line. So you'd snap that line right off because it's only like 4 or 6 pound test. So you put a rubber band in that, tie it on both ends of the rubber band, and it would stretch when you jerked it. That was always neat. The fish would hit it, and the rubber band would go bing, 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 bing. And you'd set up 4 of those reels in the shanty, and it'd be like 20 degrees outside with 40-mile-an-hour wind, and you're sitting in there sweating with one lantern going, catching 8, 10-inch smelt one after another till you got 2, 3 buckets full. Then you got that long 2-mile walk back to shore that is freaking cold. Then we started using snowmobiles. That helped. But we fished the Michigan rivers, the Betsy, the Platte. In the spring you fish for rainbow, in the fall you fish for Chinook and coho. And all the rest of the year was perch, pike, bullheads, whitefish. Fished a lot of pier fishing where you had to dodge the waves. And I did that usually with my grandpa. That was a real fun time. He'd get you up at 2 in the morning. You get to the Lake Michigan at 3 o'clock in the morning. You walk out on the pier. You're the only ones there. And you fish till daybreak. And then the wind comes up. And you start breaking your gear down. You got 4 or 5 fish. Then you go halfway back to the shore, and all of a sudden cars start showing up. And they're all headed out there to fish. And you go home, clean the fish. Grandpa takes a nap, gets up. We go out in the evening. All those people that went out in the morning, they're out there all day long. They're coming in off the pier when we're headed back out. And they got 1 or 2 fish between 100 people. And they all leave, and it gets about dark, and you catch more fish. They got a lot of good fishing stories that I get to remember. But like I said, it was a serious business. It was sharp hooks and good line and paying attention, not screwing around. Or you go hungry. You went to Bell Island? Fishing is the one thing I really wish I could get out doing with my grandkids that just doesn't present itself as possible. There's a couple bridges and places I could fish I can get to, but they don't want to bother with that. They want to be out in God's country fishing. I used to miss a lot of school for fishing because my dad usually worked a second shift, so we'd stay till Monday up north in Benzie County until Monday, so I'd miss school Monday mornings, and he'd get home in time to go to work. Well, their attention span for fishing is short to begin with, so We've went to a couple of places a couple of times, but they like, they're kids. They want to go bass fishing, catch something big that fights, and they don't want to sit there and catch 50 bluegills and then for 2 hours sit there to clean them. And I can't get in a boat, so very few shorelines are level and easy to get around on. Crabs? Yeah, I regret not being able to get to the ocean to do a lot of the stuff that you can do at the ocean. That seems to me that I've had a friend that told me when he lived in Florida, he said, get out of work and go throw your line in the water and catch something to eat. And never knew what you were going to catch. Cook them live crabs, yeah. We gigged frogs a few times. Our real delicacy would be snapping turtle soup. That was worth the effort. Sometime today, Epson Mathiasen is supposed to go live from his boat. I hope to catch that. Yeah, I still eat frog legs when I go to the buffet occasionally, or used to go to the buffet. Snapping turtle soup was, I mean, there was just so many flavors in it. There's like 7 kinds of meat in a snapping turtle, and each one has a different flavor. And they're so crazy. You kill it, you cut its head off, and they would send us to bury the heads because for 3 days the head's nerves will still bite. So we'd always dig them up after 3 days and stick a stick in their mouth and watch them swallow it out the back of their throat. It's not attached to anything. But yeah, well, it takes hours while you're cleaning it. The meat's still moving, the legs are still moving. Oh, you don't like the smell? We had a lot of people that did say, I don't like fish, it tastes fishy. Well, we always, like everything else, prove that if you clean it right, it don't taste like what they're. You gotta take the blood out of the fish. There's fat and there's blood, and it all affects the flavor of all of the meat. So, like any other animal processing, you gotta kill it right, clean it right, and cook it right. Yeah, I grew up going, never gonna eat raw fish. Never, ever gonna eat raw fish. HPR, hello! Jenny Jones, what you up to? We just not, it's a dono, not gonna eat. Reptar morning. It's like 5 days from I cleaned his cage and he's still being obnoxious. Yeah, there's a lot of places where the water is nasty smelling. When I was a kid in Ohio, when we had nothing else to do, we'd go to the barn, or the cattle farmers had a drainage pond from the barn, which, if you can imagine what drains out of a barn. But man, the bluegills in that thing were huge and strong because they smelt like shit. And my friend and I thought we'd catch one and eat it. So we took it home. We cleaned it, It smelled like shit. We fried it up. The whole house smelled like shit. He took one bite of it and threw up, so I didn't eat it. But that was one of those learning experiences. The ladies are here. You going to perform your breakfast routine, or are you just going to be obnoxious? Yeah, my mom left. We came in the house and started filleting that bluegill out, and she left. She just walked out of the house going, "This smells like shit." And it intensified when you fried it. I mean, it really smelled like you were frying cow shit. And they swam in the pond. I mean, they had a diving board, and it's like, okay. But yeah, I've been back in the swamps and creeks where you get into this water that's got so much methane from the broken down vegetation that you just move the water and you want to gag. Usually don't fish there though. Just travel through it. Oh, I mean, it's a noxious methane. We would take, like, there would be channels between the lakes, and we'd be in a small flat bottom boat, and every time the oar hit the water, it was just like, oh my god. And you'd see fish swimming in it going, my god. Oh, that's right, they don't have noses. He can give you, he doesn't look like he's going to eat. Let me give you a better shot of the monster who's being ignorant. In Lake Michigan? Awesome, Jenny. I am so jealous. We used to fish up off of Point Bessie. My brother-in-law, he was forestry and he'd be out on the island. We'd go fish out there next to the Indian fish nets. 70 feet of water catching jumbo perch. Well, thank you, Lady D, for showing up. I know it's not even a real lizard. I just don't want to show my face. Yeah, likes don't really do me any good, but you can hit the like button. If I ever start auditing and need 1,000 subs and have to go out and beg for them, I will. But I did get a GoPro, and it's an underwater camera actually, 4D. And I think when they shipped it, they put it next to the speakers or something because it was dead on arrival. And the first no they tell you is don't put it near a magnet. So I got to wait for that to go back and come back. I may end up doing just a phone call to the police department on my last police car video. I really messed that one up. But how many times do you see a police car with a handicap sticker being used in it?
I know. If you sit there without moving, you're invisible, right, Reptar?
They can't see me.
I'm a chameleon. Oh, don't tap on the glass. It terrifies them. We also used to catch a bunch of jumbo perch in Crystal Lake between Manistee and Traverse City, especially during caddisfly season that they used to have that they don't anymore. The lake's lost all its marl bottom. But boy, when the caddisflies would hatch, we'd get a garbage bag full of them, and you'd go out there and just slaughter the perch around the 4th of July. And then fish them in the winter through the ice. We even got so good at it, Jenny, we had 50-gallon drums on our fishing shanties with the motor. So after the ice would go off, we'd still take the shanty out for another month and fish in the shanty. It's still cold after the ice goes off around here. You need that warmth. Your hands freeze. You can't fish. But you come away with a half a dozen perch and a dozen whitefish. Not a bad night's fishing. I know. It didn't really warm up fully this year anyways, but yeah, it cooled down quick. I could tell when the storm actually hit here the other day because when the water's warm enough, we don't get any storms around here. It either goes south or north. It's just the way the land's shaped and the water. Can't stand the cold. Well, we didn't have much cold. We were inside the shanty, or as a kid, I was outside the whole time, but once I got on my own, I always had portable shanties so I could take them anywhere. But yeah, it is one cold ass way to fish. And standing in the river in the spring ain't all that warm either, though. You're in insulated underwear and waders, and then in the fall when you go Chinook fishing, you're standing in the same place in shorts and barefoot fishing. That's when it's warm. Oh, that's cool. Bald eagles are awesome. I got a really good short stint I spent up in Boyne City in 2010, and they were like crows on the side of the road eating the carrion. I mean, I didn't drive very far or go very far, and you'd see 5 or 6 every day. They're Boyne, they have that flat valley with the high ridges on 3 sides, and they get in them thermals and just hang up in the air. We actually had a golden eagle in the swamp behind our house when we moved up north when I was like 15, and for about 4 years that I was in that woods all the time, we had one golden eagle that nested there. At least that's what we called it. It wasn't a bald eagle. Down here in this part of Michigan, the biggest birds you see flying are usually hawks. You see red-tailed hawks. They get pretty good size. We had an awesome video on my brother's trail cam of a red-tailed hawk that took a chipmunk, landed on a stump, and just ripped it apart and ate it. But his computer froze up, so we lost the video. Yeah, you have no doubt when you look at those claws. I mean, I had a blue and gold macaw, and it sat on my finger and shoulder and crawled around, and you look at its claws and you go, wow. You see an eagle claws, and you're like, holy shit. They look like you just rip hunks out of your arm. I lived in Grand Rapids for a while, and they brought a few peregrine falcons in there, and oh man, they'd take a pigeon and drop it out in the parking lot and just rip that. You go out on lunchtime, they'd eat them around 9:30, 10 o'clock usually when they hunted. You go out at noon, and there's a 20-foot circle of feathers. I'm really enjoying the chat today, guys. I appreciate it. I'm having trouble staying in my happy place. Oh, I got a good seagull story. In Cadillac, Michigan, there's on one side of the road's Lake Michigan, on the other side of the road's Lake Cadillac. And I took my kids up to my parents' house, and we stopped and got Burger King and went to the roadside park. And I'm like, we should go to this one over here. And they go, no, we want to sit by the lake. And I said, you really don't want to sit by the lake and eat, but okay. So the kids get their kids eating, and where everybody's eating, and one seagull flies up, and they threw a French fry at it. And I didn't say a word. I just got up, put my food in the bag, and quickly walked to the car, and got in the car, and sat there. And they just looked at me, and it took maybe 3 minutes. And there were about 50 seagulls surrounding them, and it was just more coming. And the little kids, my grandkids, are running to the car screaming. Yeah, we never said nothing about it. They just got in the car, and we continued on our way. Yeah, nature mob. Those babies were free food. Hell yeah! You see the cartoons, the old Bugs Bunny one where the duck or the seagull turns around and whistles. These like a big arrow birds. It was crazy. I knew it was going to happen. I'd seen it too many times. Now the big thing is my niece who lives in the house that my dad and I built, that we lived in till I moved out, and then they sold it. They have chicken coop, and they've been losing their chickens to the bears that have come back. They've got a mama bear that comes out of the swamp behind the house with triplets. They're about a year old now. They tear into the chicken coop, eat a couple chickens. And I wasn't even born when the neighbor shot supposedly the last bear in the Lower Peninsula behind my grandma's house, because there's like a 700-acre swamp, and it's like 200 acres of this berry bush, And believe me, that is bear territory. You give them that many berries, and there's going to be a bear. But they've been attacked 3 times this summer, and they lost their rooster the last time. They got a few pictures of them. But that was something I didn't. I mean, I was 15 to 18 running through the woods in places now it's not really safe to go. I mean, bears are not safe. Oh, you moved your head. You betrayed yourself. Now everybody knows you're now rubber. You were doing pretty good, Reptar, and then you moved. Oh. So, do you fillet your perch? When I was a kid, we ate a lot of bones. When I was a kid, it was always you had to have bread and butter with your fish because you were going to swallow a bone. Yeah. The only thing we had to worry about was making sure you heard mom call. You get towards supper time, and if you didn't make it by the third call, you were in trouble. Forget the wildlife. And she didn't drive, so she couldn't blow a horn because there was never a car there. So it was always just call our name 3 times. And you better be seen by that third call. I had to tell my kids, go outside and find something to do. When I was a kid, it was more like, all right, you got to come in now. Yeah, that's crazy what you get out of a fish stomach. Little shells that don't digest and half-eaten fish. I use the air horn. I suppose that would have worked. Mom didn't really need a horn. She could bellow and you could hear her across the lake, which not much sound really travels well across the water, but when we were families together, my Aunt Pat and Mom would yell together, and together they were deafening. Well, Reptar, you know, I may have to kill this stream and come back if you do eat. So I got physical therapy I gotta do here. I'm gonna end up so bent up I can't move. It's a management type situation for the rest of my life, Jenny. You have a great day. Reptar and I say, we gone.